What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Quinn and her character in Scream 6. This is probably the last character deep dive I'm going to do, at least for right now. If I did miss people, I was going to say if I missed anybody, you can definitely let me know if there's any character that I haven't done this on that you really want to see. I'll absolutely do it, down the line, but I want to do some ranking videos next. But I wanted to talk about Quinn. I do think she's an important character in this movie, and ultimately, she's my favorite of the three Ghostface, okay? Now, we'll see when I do my ranking of all of the killers, combined, where Quinn lands, but she is the best of the three. But you got to talk about both sides of her character, right? So Quinn, the normal as far as she is normal in this film, and then Quinn when she, flips the switch and becomes, I guess, who she really is. So I'll say this, I really liked her. I think she's a great character. I think Liana Liberato did a fantastic job, and I'll be honest, I actually think she did better than I thought she was going to do. I've talked about it before. A lot of these people I had never really heard of, and I guess if you go back to Scream 5, it was even more of them, right? Scream 6, of course, like Jenna, Melissa, the core four, Hayden Panettiere, all that stuff, you're ready to go. But when it comes to people like Devin Nakota, I'm like, I've never heard of her. I've never seen her before. She killed it as Annika, right? Jack Champion, I knew of him, but I've never actually, I don't think I've watched almost anything he's ever been in. Dermot Mulroney, none of these people, really. So Liana was the same. I don't think I've ever seen her, or at least not in the last 5-10 years. I've never seen her in a role. So I don't know how she'll do. She seems nice, from interviews and whatnot, but how will she do? I loved her. I thought as the sex-positive girl, I thought she did really, really good. I thought she was fun. I thought she had a lot of personality. It's actually kind of strange, because if she died when she was supposed to die, right, like that halfway point along with Annika, if that was it, I actually would have also said she was a pretty reasonably good side character. I think Annika stuck out more. I think she kind of felt more like part of the team. But Quinn and Annika were definitely different kinds of characters. There was a different personality there with Quinn that you didn't find, and vice versa. I thought any kind of scene that she had with the core, with other people, I thought she did well, including walking in on Chad and Tara. I thought that was a very funny scene. Her sitting, when Mindy's explaining all the rules, what to expect. I thought she did good, but, she's not in it a lot. She's really in it probably just as much as Annika, if not maybe even a little bit less, because she's not at the party. Yet again, she talks to Sam. I think she's good in that scene too, right? Like the boyfriend, and she says the wrong name, or Sam says the wrong name. I thought that was pretty funny. I thought that kind of gave her immediately some charm. And I think this movie, as we've talked about with characters like Annika, they did it really well, where they don't have a lot of time with these people, but they try to nail every second that they do have. I think they did it with Quinn as well. Then she dies, and, the death, I would have said this, right? She made an impact like Annika made, but her death wouldn't have made that much of an impact, right? Killing off screen, all that jazz. It was a interesting kind of build up to that moment, and obviously like flinging her through the door and all that stuff onto Mindy and Annika, kind of both. That was pretty insane, right? But beyond that, there wasn't that much more to talk about. So then you kind of have to jump to flipping the switch and her becoming crazy. So I liked her. I thought she was, I don't know if like the word believable. I think she's probably the most like gifted actor of those three. Dermot Mulroney, we've talked about him, obviously more into like comedy and rom-coms and stuff. I liked it, but I do think you kind of had to like give it to him. You had to give that this guy's a little wacky. He does some odd things with his acting, and if you give it to him, you can kind of buy the monologue, and you can kind of buy some of the weirder things that he kind of does through his acting in that monologue. Jack Champion, I'm really just not a fan. There's a reason I really haven't talked about Ethan. I don't think he was all that great. I don't think he is all that great. I don't like Ethan as a character. So you'll see that, I guess, reflected when I rank all these Ghostface. So Quinn really kind of took it. Now, obviously, Bailey is the one who's talking the most in this monologue, but it's really a family, ordeal. And I would say Quinn kind of gets like second billing there, right? Now, her kind of craziness is both a pro and a con. I liked her being, kind of over the top and very energetic and all this stuff. But at the same time, it reminded me of like the Amber Ritchie, maybe even more so like Amber because it's kind of fresh on the mind, right? It reminded me more of that. So pro, I liked it. I think it was the most believable, and it was the most I guess, contained while not being contained, right? Like characters like Stu, well, really all of them, I guess. You can go to like a Debbie Salt, Mickey, all these characters can kind of keep it contained when they need to in their monologue, and then they can kind of like let it go, right? But the best of them, I think, can kind of juggle between the two extremes, except for maybe Stu. Stu just kind of like went for it, in his monologue, with Billy, he kind of just went to a 10 out of 10, and he kind of like stayed there. So it's kind of a back and forth, and also you don't necessarily want to repeat what's been done before. So for Quinn, I liked it. I liked her kind of going back and forth because I do think she kind of kept it kind of contained, right? The more seriousness there of, killing the brother and all this stuff. And then she kind of let it more explode in terms of being nuts, right? Kind of went back and forth. I guess the con there is we've seen that be done. It did remind me a little bit of Amber because we kind of just got that. We also know that I believe the Richie Amber, or at least maybe Amber's part in particular, it's what a lot of this cast read in terms of their auditions, right? Devin Nakota for Annika, she read that. Josh Segura, like all these characters, they read that monologue at the end of Scream 5. So I guess it's not all that surprising that she reminds me of Amber because, I don't know, maybe her reading Amber's monologue is kind of like, oh, okay, we can see that in you. So maybe you're going to lean into it. Maybe she leaned into it too much. Again, at the end of the day, it's not too big of a deal. These aren't, in my opinion, like the best Ghostfaces, so it's not worth, arguing for like 30, 40 minutes on. I thought she did solid. I thought, the over-the-top kind of thing that she did at the end, I thought it served what it needed to do. It's a little bit repetitive of Amber, but so what? In terms of her death, kind of anticlimactic, just the one shot, in the head. Now, that's the end, right? Getting hit with a brick, I thought that was kind of clever. So there was a good build-up, right? And again, I think they used her as that second build character. I guess I'd have to literally listen in and like record how many words each of those three said in the monologue. But I just feel like Bailey kind of, led it. And then Quinn also was the one that started the rumors, right? So I do think they kind of put more on Quinn's plate. I definitely think Ethan was like third build. He was the least important of that three group. And then also, I do want to say this, okay? This is technically the first of the three Ghostface killers that we've talked about in this, kind of deep dive, analysis look. The thing that's tough, and I do this, and I have actually seen other people do this on Twitter, so maybe I'm being like vindicated a little bit, is do you have to attribute the Ghostface killings and the phone calls and all that stuff to the character? Now, I always do that, right? In fact, last year or years past when I've talked about some of the best, Ghostface calls or some of the best Ghostface kills or whatever, I always try to attribute it to, whoever it is. If it's Stu, Billy, whatever. I'll always kind of link it because technically in the film universe, it's supposed to be them under the mask. So one thing I will throw out there is we know for a fact that it was Quinn with the subway, and it was also Quinn with Gale. So the subway, while failing to kill Mindy, definitely grinds my gears. I guess that's more of like a writing do you blame that on Quinn the character, or do you blame that on the writers, right? But I thought that was very cool because she took advantage of lighting situations and power outages. I mean, she's a smart girl. And then also the Gale thing, well, twofold. Number one, she gave Gale a run for her money, right? She almost killed. So you look at Amber and you say, you have to attribute Dewey's death forever for the rest of the time that this fandom of Scream exists. Amber is the culprit that killed Dewey. You have to attribute it to her. You have to attribute Quinn almost took out Gale. So is that bonus points? Maybe it is because I thought the fight, the chase, I thought it was epic. And then also, you can't overlook, that means it was her on the phone, right? And I thought the Ghostface call to Gale was kind of iconic. A lot of really clever lines, both by Roger / Ghostface / Quinn. And then also Gale, right? We've talked about some of the iconic Gale moments, in that dialogue. But even Ghostface, obviously taunting her about Dewey and talking about fan favorites and whatnot. Like, technically, that was all Quinn. So I do want to kind of pad her a little bit in terms of the acting. We talked about it, and there truly isn't too much other than, the first 20-30% of the movie in which she's not in it all that much. Then when she, flips the switch and it's just kind of crazy. And then you kind of got to attribute some Ghostface killings, actually just attacks, to her. And you kind of, bonus point her, or I guess not if you don't want to. But I thought Liana, again, I thought she really did crush it. I liked her character quite a bit. You'll see in the ranking, of the Ghostface. I don't know where she compares. I actually haven't, put in 6 compared to the other 5. I don't know where she would rank compared to the other ones, but I do think she's easily the best of the 3 killers for this movie. I don't even think it's a competition. So let me know what you all think about her character. Let me know if you want to see other characters in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed, bell icon. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, I got a new Twitter. I'm allowed to be back there now. We have a Discord server where we have a Scream chat in there. So if you guys want to check any of those links out, they're all in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.